boys' minds. What's happened is they have lost their vulnerability along the way. That they're usually really sensitive boys who probably have way more tears to cry than their less sensitive counterparts. But there hasn't been room or space for those tears to be shed or to be understood. And the more that they're scolded for not being able to, meet the expectation, live up to the standard, whatever that thing is that we impose on them, the more they're scolded around that, the more undone they become. And they sink back behind, like the vulnerability goes, they sink back behind these walls of defense that they erect. And you know what the best way is to stop somebody from seeing that you actually are this squishy, whirly, swirly package of emotions? Is to punch them in the face, or to spit on them, or say a swear word to them, or do something else that's like really horrible. Well, the last thing they're thinking about in that moment is how undone you are, and how much you just need to land in somebody's arms and cry. Some of the language that you see floating around, and certainly when you're looking at Facebook posts and other kinds of things, and even popularized language in films and movies, like the pop culture around all of that, is still the idea that boys should not be emotionally vulnerable, and they shouldn't be emotionally weak. And that real men don't cry, or even phrases like "you scream like a girl." Like there's all of these suggestions that any sort of display of emotion is equated with something less than what a man should be. And so I think that's probably like the popular force kind of floating around in our cultural milieu when we think about boys and what they're kind of marinating in as they grow up. Dive into child development and just human development in terms of emotional health and well-being over the lifespan. One of the most important, if not the foundational component of that, is one's ability to be adaptive. And if you start to really investigate what it means to be adaptive, what that means is that you're able to come to terms with the things in life that aren't going to work for you or that haven't worked out for you, that you're able to feel, know what it means to feel, and express a feeling of your sadness around all of that. And then once you've incorporated those feelings of sadness, that you're able to move through them, right? So you've come to terms with what's not working out by being vulnerable and being sad, and then you are able to move through those feelings and shift into a more adaptive mode. So, if something hasn't worked out for you, then you find a way around it. If you can't know your feelings, have a relationship with your feelings, name your feelings, feel your feelings, express your feelings, then really what we do is we shut down the adaptive process. To talk about why it's so important for kids to cry and to have their sadness and to find their tears and to be vulnerable, and why we should like cherish that, and why that's something to actually celebrate, that children can feel, and not only can they feel, but when they feel, they land in the soft, caring arms of somebody who understands their feelings and helps them start to move through taking care of those feelings. And I think if you can have big people, whether they be parents, caregivers, early childhood professionals, educators, community health professionals, whoever they are, really reinforcing that message, like this is what healthy child development looks like. Whether you're a boy or girl, whether you're green or blue, this is what it looks like to be a child who's developing in the way that nature intended. And this is how we grow them up to be their best possible selves.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, you're ready to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a